Now, to be fair, at the flip, we've also seen, and this is, I think, interesting now as these bats have come alive, especially Rhys Hoskins. We've seen them get down early, especially now, Jake Arrieta is going to give them every opportunity to be down early. And it opens up the opposite, which should be pound the Phillies. So from darkness comes light. We have revolutionized now the fade the Phillies into now pound the Phillies. Down 4-0, 5-0 in the first or second inning. Jake Arrieta has done absolutely nothing and handed the game over to the opposition before they've even reached the first three. So what do? You look at that and you say, okay, let me get the Phillies +5. Let me get the Phillies +6. It's a nice, smooth transition. Phillies come back, get a little lead, and then you can swing it back. This thing is paying off like gangbusters. It's the loose slot that you find in the back end of the casino where it still has only those 3 bars on it, and that's it. It's not some Wheel of Fortune. It's not some video that's showing you some sort of video from like Taylor Swift or some movie. It's nothing advanced at all. It's the old thing where you just pull down and it goes bar, 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 and that's the old school payout right there. We'll have to wait for the Philadelphia Flyers to drop this thing tonight. Be joined by our pal Ira Silver from Overlay coming up. And it's going to be a different type of visit with me and Overlay because I don't know if Ira's aware, but I won last night. I think I even had the best record last night in the NBA jackpot. Did not hit the jackpot because you have to be perfect. But first time since I've been playing, and you talk about not needing the slump buster, thank goodness. And Ira will explain all of that at 6:30. Celtics Raptors right now. Coming into it, if you were following along, maybe at the very least, you knew that there was going to be, at least here with this game early on, a chance for Toronto and even Boston, I think, as they did last game, to really set the tone defensively. Both teams having that chance to continue putting pressure on the opposition and forcing some tough shots from outside. I don't think that and I didn't really anticipate, and there really hasn't been much at all, much change to the strategy. Toronto didn't just completely revolutionize what they were doing. Raptors didn't come into this game tonight and all of a sudden change everything, makeover on offense and running a completely different set and moving guys around in position. It wasn't anything remotely close to an extreme. It was, in fact, just do what we did last game and make shots. Similar shots, similar looks, and more of those should go down than they did game one. The one thing that jumped out was the under at 220 earlier in the day. So I don't know what it specifically closed at, but I laid a little bit down on that, minus 130 at DraftKings for it, but under 220, and we're locked in at 28 apiece after the first quarter. It's going to be that type of game here where it'll probably hover around 200 total points, I would think. 210 at the again, this is the pacing of it. If it changes drastically, one of these teams is going to have to go on a big run. 10-0, 12-2, something like that, to really extend and push it and then force that total. Now, knowing what we've seen from the first game and how it's picked up already here in the second game, and trust me, we'll talk about what's going on tonight. I am so jealous of John Jansen. Line change comes away at 8 o'clock as that Jazz Nuggets game. Now, granted, I'm still going to watch it by my couch and all, but to be on, like I get the warm-up act here, which is the Celtics Raptors. Let's be honest. As great as Boston has looked, Toronto suffering another loss at the hands of the Celtics, the Raptors aren't a draw anymore. Like, the Raptors are a draw for the basketball fan. I understand that. But to sit there and sweat play after play of the Celtics Raptors Game 2 second round series is nothing remotely close to the level of intensity that you'll see tonight with one of the most anticipated, highly anticipated Game 7s in the first round in the history of the NBA. At Shander Show, twitch.tv/Shander Show. What else would it be? What else could it possibly be at that point when you look at the history of Game 7s? Not 5s, but 7s. And you have it tonight with two insane scorers in the league. And yes, I am still trying to do my best to move the concern that I have that this is going to be the last time I watch the Flyers for a long time. It has that feel to it. It really does. The Islanders have truly captured the momentum and the energy of this series. It's crippling watching the Flyers struggle to shoot the puck in the manner and fashion in which they have. And yeah, we can continue to have conversations about the top line and the captain and all of those conversations that never seem to go away regarding Giroux, and especially after a postseason like this. But the fact of the matter is, this has been a collective loss and will be if, in fact, this is it tonight. Still hope that things can turn around. It wouldn't be the first time we remember being down 3-1, being down not only in series but also game, and coming back and beating Boston. It's happened. It has happened before in this team's history. But this thing just feels like the wind is dead. And they're holding on and grasping. You take it one, and if you get right, you get hot tonight, and all of a sudden you see a low-scoring affair, which Carter Hart dominates, we can talk. But I don't necessarily think that you're going to get, at the very least, something that is colossally different. Colossally, I don't know. Something significantly different than what you've seen from the Islanders this entire series, including, of course, the game in which they lost, which they battled back down in that game to force overtime. All right, second quarter, look at some live action here as the Celtics started out hot early on. But again, as we kind of look at where we are for this quarter specifically, and knowing and trailing 32-31, knowing that Boston has picked up exactly and not necessarily fallen off anyway, we knew that it was going to be difficult from a defensive standpoint for both teams to get some shots off. But examining, at the very least, what we can get from this game. Now, you're not going to touch anything for the game itself unless you really believe this is the Celtics to win, or it's just a matter of time before the Raptors blow Boston out. I think at that point, you might as well just take a money line play for Boston or lay the 2.5 for Toronto if you think that this is going to end nowhere near that line. Again, it's kind of similar to where we closed coming in. But the first half, so now it's all about winning the second quarter. First quarter was a draw. Don't know what that paid out, but I'm sure it was a lot. First quarter was a draw. Now, looking at it, 10-17 left. 4-3 total right now, 7 total points, but 4-3 Raptors in the second quarter. You're really just betting who's going to win this quarter. But you'll get good odds, at least, decent return for this to play out because you've already got a first quarter down. Now, with that said, Boston keeps fluctuating, but Toronto, -1.5 for the Raptors here. -1.5 is going to get you +104. Money line play would be Boston at +110 if you think they just flat out win this quarter, go up with a lead. It hasn't looked pretty necessarily at the start of this, as both teams have kind of been a little sloppy getting to that point. But really, I don't know, the pacing of this so far, it's still slow. I would stay away from a total. I mean, think about it. It's 109 right now, 109.5 at DraftKings, and you're laying 295 as that slowly updates. But still, that's how ridiculous it is for that under to look like it's pretty much a lock. It just bumped up to -360. But the Raptors now at -1.5, you know, Celtics are about to go to their bench a little more. Tatum's going to miss some more time here. -1.5 for the Raptors right there is not terrible. In fact, I'm going to do that. And again, at Shander Show, twitch.tv/Shander Show, you can see the bet being placed live here. I like Toronto, especially knowing that they're going to have to take advantage of some bench play here as well. And depending on what app or whatever you're using, I'm sure there's some profit booster, something along the lines that you can lock in. But so far, even if you started out looking at a couple of bigger plays here, which would be a money line play, let's say 104 is where I got it before the game started for the Celtics. And then again, I laid a little bit of the juice, but it was worth it to go under 220, at least ahead of time it looked like it. And still, this pacing here continues, a couple of misses, and it's going to fuel it even more. It's going to be a pretty low-scoring game. We've kind of seen that play out even last night with the Rockets and the Thunder. We saw that about Houston playing down, if you will, offensively to the competition. It wasn't just OKC struggling to score. It was Houston just shooting themselves out of the gym. Brutal. 100 points for that team when all you really needed was a $110, a $112, and it would have looked like a blowout at times. And it shows you that a lot of this right now is going to slow down as we get deeper into it, and something to keep an eye on with totals, unless you have a team like Houston. But even then, how much you rely on the three, like Milwaukee, for example, last night, two teams that love to gun it from three, absolutely love to gun it from three. Yet what we've seen is Jimmy Butler, and I love it, love to see it, Jimmy Butler take over, slasher take over, what we'll see tonight take over. Even here in Toronto, as much as they'll hoist or try and get some bigs to stretch it, you see that they've got two guards in the backcourt at any given moment that can slow things down by taking it to the rack and getting to the line. And you can draw as many conclusions as you want as far as what's missing here in Philadelphia, from Toronto to Boston to Denver and Utah. But the reality is that there are similarities throughout the NBA that, for this or that reason, process or not, whatever you have in front of you, hasn't seemed to fit here in Philadelphia. It's built differently, like significantly different. And that in its own right, I think, is frustrating to watch. But recognizable, at least, that you start to see the consistent theme that has always been consistent in the NBA, which is guys that can score a lot of points are going to put you in a great position to advance in the playoffs. And if you don't have a bunch of guys who can score a lot of points, like 2 or 3, then you're relying on 1 or 1.5, and that's difficult. Guys get cold. Guys have off nights. That's the difference right there in the series. That's the difference in losing home court advantage. Now, tonight, I don't know what the hell's. I have zero idea what to expect in this game. I continue to think that Utah has the advantage. I thought Utah had the advantage last time as well. Jamal Murray unconscious, but it's not like Donovan Mitchell is taking a significant step back either. Right? It's not like all of a sudden Donovan Mitchell was playing second fiddle. He still was pouring in points, and you have this battle of young stars, young scoring stars in this league that we haven't seen in a long time, as far as a head-to-head, a coming of age for both players at the same time. What are the odds? Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler, presented by Pure Auto Insurance, at Shander Show. Again, twitch.tv/Shander Show. I will say we'll take a break in 5 and chat with Ira Silver from Overlay DFS about a fantastic way in which you can get in and continue to take advantage of, if it's baseball, the NFL now being back. And also, I'm sure Ira has a couple of plays for us across the board. Get his thoughts on this game tonight with the Jazz and the Nuggets. But again, and it's 6-6, mind you, right now. 34-34, 7:06 left in the second quarter, as that Raptors -1.5 just sitting there staring at me. But I have no idea this series lost. Raptors went up now, but Tatum with the 2 free throws. No idea right now what to expect, except for the fact that both Jamal Murray and Donovan Mitchell are going to break 100 combined points. I think, is there a bet out there like that? Fox Bet, do they have some crazy cool prop like that? They're known for outside the box thinking. They're known for having something like that where it's like, combined dunks or combined points. We'll load the app up and check this thing out because I would definitely take that. 100.5 points. That's the total. And if it's not in real life, it is for the show now. 100.5 points. Now, let's look at this. Over, under. Over, these guys have both hit 50-plus points twice. Each time. Twice. Each player. Twice in this series. Do you realize how ridiculous that is? Yeah, I get it. It's nice to watch our own team play, but come on, save me that nonsense. You're watching two elite-to-be scorers in this league, and they're not far from it, mind you. This is in the first round of the playoffs, yes, but still the playoffs. It's not like we're watching typical regular season basketball in the middle of February where half of a team is sitting out and Donovan Mitchell pours in 60. This is the first round of the playoffs where both guys, 2 separate times, have dropped 50-plus points. So, yeah, I think looking at that over would probably be minus 110. And I think under right now would probably, ideally under would be even money. Or maybe it would entice you with the over, knowing how difficult it would be to hit 53 times. So, yeah, let me rethink that. The over would be even money at plus 100. And then the under would be minus 110. So it's not that far of a reach either way. And realistically speaking, you're talking about technically at least, two different ways in which you can get to that end result of plus 100 return even money and something that is definitely doable on the other end that doesn't make it ridiculous like, well, minus 140 or minus 180, there's no return value anyway, so why not take the risk? Laying the 10 points of juice is not extreme by any means, knowing how difficult it would be for these guys to turn around and one of them at least hitting for 40 and the other one hitting for 52. And that 100.5 seems really distant at that point. Really distant. Raptors have taken a timeout. Again, took them at minus 1.5 to win the first half. And that was after a draw after the first quarter. Second quarter right now, 6:37 left in the second quarter. Raptors just took a timeout as they trail 35-34. And, of course, that is the deficit as well. Whatever the game deficit will be, the same for the quarter deficit, clearly. And right now, that thing is at minus 2.5 for us in order to clear. So I'm looking here at Fox Bet to see if they have anything specific for this game tonight. 5 times your money. It's been boosted to plus 400. Jamal Murray to score 40 or more. So Murray alone to score 40 or more is at plus 400. That seems way too high to not be suspicious. I mean, I would think that it would be like plus 200 at this point. But again, what the hell do I know? I had the Jazz winning the series way before 7. Not in a specific result, but just so much as them winning it. I don't see much more. And again, I have to look at it specifically for that game. But I thought that at the very least, there would be something specific about Murray and Mitchell together. All right, so the one that I see, Murray, top point scorer of the game, is plus 150. Mitchell over 34.5 and Jazz to win is plus 270. That's pretty good value right there, actually. I mean, if you're going to roll with the Jazz, and if you're going to take Utah to win it, you might as well lock in the plus 270. All right, hopefully you've been paying attention. We've been telling you about Overlay DFS. We'll chat with Ira Silver coming up next. Top of the hour, the Philadelphia Flyers look to continue their series. We'll also update you on this first half between the Raptors and Celtics. What are the odds? Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler, presented by Cure Auto Insurance. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Do you have Ira's number still? Yes, sir. Awesome. Thank you. Hmm. Okay. Shit. Shit. The hell is that noise? It's not that. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be talking to you. The hell is that noise? It's not that. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be talking to you. The hell is that noise? It's not that. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be talking to you. The hell is that noise? It's not that. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be talking to you. Boy, what a fucking. Awesome. Thank you, John. Yeah. That's the stream is tough. Hold on. Something's wrong with the stream. Okay. I sent Mike the link that they can listen to at least. They came in and set this whole thing up for me to fill in for Tony Bruno on Sirius, and then Tony Bruno went off the fucking end and got this, shows off. So I had all this thing set up, and now, oh. All right, we'll go out to the Dr. Glatt, Regrow Your Hairline. Dr. Paul Glatt, Philadelphia's leading hair restoration doctor. And quick update, Boston 39-36, 4:35 left in the second. So we'll keep you updated on that first half play with the Raptors as we head into the top of the hour in Philadelphia Flyers time. at that point. Ira is on Twitter at Ira Silver Magic, and of course, Overlay DFS at Overlay DFS. We've been talking about this amazing, revolutionized way in which you can play fantasy sports, not have to worry about the salaries and everything else that wears you down on the DFS tournaments. This is the start sit format. That's amazing. So Ira, again, always appreciate the time. You know, we're going to get some picks from you before we get out of here as well. But for those who are joining us new to the show tonight, new to this segment, new to you, new to me even, who are thinking to themselves, Overlay, well, what's going on? What is it specifically that you guys have been able to create and then execute that so rightfully so separates you guys from the other DFS tournaments you'll find? Right. Now, I don't know if Mike told you, but I finally won something last night. Took me a little bit. I thought I might be up for the Slump Buster, which is something that you guys have that nobody else has, where it's 20 straight times, right? You lose, and then at that point, you get a refund, which is amazing. Right. Hmm. It's amazing. And think about it. There may not be a better piece of advertisement where if an idiot like me can find their way to a 10 and 2 night and take home a share of the winnings than anybody out there listening. It's like, wow, if Shaner can do it, then anybody out there listening can do it, where all you need, it's so simple and easy to sign up. That might be the best piece of advertisement out there, which is, wow, this guy was able to actually win something. Then, all of a sudden somebody thinking they are, that's a lot of picks. How long is it going to take? And, maybe it's going to be too much. Oh, wait, that idiot won? Okay, I'm in. It's about time, right? Been playing forever. It is. So I came on post NFL, and I can't wait now to start playing the NFL because I imagine that there are going to be a lot of quarterback ops. See, again, now you're depending on how many quarterbacks there are to choose from in a specific tournament, right? It might be 4 or 5 different quarterback matchups throughout the day that you're choosing from. I have no idea how the NFL works. I can't wait to play some. Love it. Right. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. The 22 main day, 17, and again, there are so many different types of entries, and of course, the higher the entry, the more the return. Especially if you do have one of those top 10% or fortunate enough to hit that jackpot. All right, Ira, I'm curious because I want to shift, and again, at Overlay DFS, at Ira Silver Magic is how you can follow Ira on Twitter. Joining us on the Dr. Glatt Regrow Your Hairline, Dr. Paul Glatt, Philadelphia's leading hair restoration doctor. Were you looking at either of these games tonight? And both really tight lines coming into it. We can kind of start with a game going on right now, which neither team has really been able to pull away. It looks like it's going to be a pretty low-scoring game as well. I think for me at least, I got it earlier at 220. But did you have any thoughts? We'll start with this game going on now, kind of move into the later game. Any thoughts on any specific play on either of these games tonight in the NBA? You are. Wow. Now I'm curious, before we get out of here, as far as one other series, with only one game in the books, but clearly there's been somewhat of a consistent theme about how well Miami has played Milwaukee in or out of the bubble. Are you buying the Heat to knock off the Bucks in this series? I think I saw them at like plus 450 coming off that win. I don't know if it's enough realistic meets value for you to jump in on something like that. Oh, look, you don't have to apologize to me. I've eviscerated that team since the day he left. So I'm rooting for Butler to win it all right now. Trust me. I didn't take that bet, but I'm rooting for him. Awesome, Ira. Appreciate it, brother. Thank you for the time. We'll chat again next week.